Okay. Now I think on the other tape I was just finishing. Let me start again with 1975. Articles appeared in several hundred local newspapers and numerous state publications. Over 1,000 requests were received at the center. 3 state workshops were held in Ohio, New Jersey, Illinois. These were full-day events sponsored by the center. National Safety Town, I initiated National Safety Town Center in August. 4 governors and numerous mayors issued proclamations. Over 1,000 t-shirts were sold on an experimental basis. Requests from parents made it necessary to add adult sizes. Prudential provided in-house assistance, artwork, and printing of 4,000 folders and envelopes containing pictures and explanation of center's items. See, all this information is here now. Isn't this nice? Over 200 safe towns were in operation in the United States and 5 other countries. Center staff increased to 12, 11 state directors, 2 assistant state directors, 3 district, and over 200 local directors, all volunteers. The 12 people on the center staff were myself, Frank, Lynn, Tammy, my mother, Frank's mother, Jacqueline, 7, I think Nancy Zabchak, and then the rest of them were our volunteers. Well, they were all volunteers, but the people that came in from, we weren't working with it through RSVP, I think, at the time. No, we didn't even have retired senior volunteer program at that time. I think these were just people like Jacqueline's mother who did things, and I'd have to look the whole thing, but they were all volunteers. 1976, articles appeared in several hundred local newspapers and many state education and safety magazines, including the National Bicentennial Highway Safety Year booklet. Over 800 requests were received at the center from that bicentennial safety year. Wish I had a copy of that book. 9 workshops were held in 5 states. 4 were held in Ohio, Illinois, New Jersey, Iowa, Missouri. These were full-day events. National Safety Town Week, the 2nd annual, was held. 20 governors and over 150 mayors issued proclamations, many participating in publicity activities. A case study by PR News was done on a local safety town in New Jersey. A follow-up case study will be printed in spring of '97. Several state organizations adopted Safety Town as a state project. New Jersey JCs was the first official organization to adopt as a state project. Pennsylvania adopted Safety Town as a state project in 1971. At the New Jersey November All-State At the New Jersey November All-State meeting, President and Vice President of National Safe Town Center and State Director presented plaque and frame citations to JC President. Excuse me. Prudential in-house assistant artwork and printing was provided for 1,000 Safety Town games. A $5,000 grant for a National State Directors meeting in Cleveland in November. A $4,500 grant for slide presentation to be used by state directors in promoting safety towns. 1976, Bill Cosby, noted entertainer, agreed to serve as honorary chairman. In October, his picture and a news release was sent to 503 major newspapers. I don't think many of them have put it in. I don't remember any of them putting it in, to be honest with you. Over 5,000 t-shirts were sold. Over 300 safety towns were in operation in the United States and 7 other countries. Staff center increased to 18, 20 state directors, 5 assistant state, 10 district, and 2 assistant. Okay. Now we did that every year. That to us was just we had to keep some kind of a record on that. And that was the progress report. Okay. We had 2 of these. I can put one here and one here. Okay. Now, we did another thing, which was major activities. That was progress report. And I guess this was my major activities of what I did, and that was more for the corporate and so forth. Like in 1964, organized Bedford Safety Town, directed and taught the program for 10 years. In '65, introduced new concept to Safety Town, and all the way through, and this goes all the way through 1976. Attended child safety development meetings at HEW in Washington. Attended the White House conference meeting, executive building in Washington, D.C. Now, see, I don't even have anything about this here in 1976. And that was, I'm glad I found this because I can talk about this now a little bit. That was so exciting to be invited to that meeting. We had to get clearance. I had to send information and get clearance before we, even arrived in Washington. And at that meeting, there were again I would say 200 plus men and just a few women. I think there were 4 or 5 women at the most. Judge Judith Richards Hope was one. She was one of the speakers, along with Vince Toffney. There were people from the labor union, from different magazines, large magazines and publications. It was just very exciting. Now, I want to just say one or two situations that I remember from that meeting. This was a large auditorium room, and there had to be at least 200 people. A beautiful auditorium. Of course, in the Washington Capitol building, executive building, of course, it was beautiful. They were talking a great deal about, this is when the gasoline price, the price of gasoline, in reducing the mileage to 55 to conserve energy and so forth. Now you have to remember I had worked for the State Department for a few years in 73 and 74, so I was a little familiar with this. Now, they had talked, I was sitting next to Donald Knight, who was executive director of TRIP. I can't remember exactly what that stood for now, but it was a large magazine organization, and it put out a nice publication. And they discussed various topics before they were discussing this gasoline price control and the speed limit. And they asked, now you have to remember there were like at least 200 men, all businessmen, and there were these 4 or 5 women. I was one, Mildred Now was one, and when I walked into the gate for clearance, there were quite a few people in the lobby, and Mrs. Now saw me, and I had not seen her for a few years. She came up and she, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I was invited to be here." "Well, who invited you?" And I said, "I don't remember." I said, "I just got an invitation to be here." So she was rather upset that I had gotten in there, I guess. Confirmed some of the allocations that people had told me that she thought I was going to be, it was after her job or something. I'm not sure of all that. But, and then, so it's Mildred Now, myself, and I think there was Agnes Beaton from the National Women's Association of Safety Leaders, Judge Judith Richards Hope, and I think there was another woman. Now, at one point, Mildred Now raised her hand when they asked for questions from the audience for some particular reason. Raised her hand, and her goal, or not goal, but she had an idea that what we should do with cars to make it safer on the road was the back taillights should have a red, yellow, and green light. The green should be on when the driver is driving. The yellow should be on when the driver goes to apply the brakes, start to apply the brakes to let the driver know that he's stopping. And the red would be on when the brake was completely applied. Well, I guess people have been talking about that on and off for a while, so I heard, I didn't know. But the majority of the men felt this was just sort of a waste of time. And she rather lengthily explained this. And you could tell that the chairman at the podium was not very pleased with this. They'd taken up a lot of time, and it wasn't relevant to what they were there to accomplish. So right after that, they went to this discussion of the gasoline and the energy and what miles, the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit should be applied. Well, they asked for the audience, does anyone have any idea why we have to reduce the speed and all this thing? And I said to Don Knight, I said, I know. I said, I worked with the Department of Highway Safety. It's because of the economics of the fuel industry, and because to reduce the speed limit, to conserve energy. So my hand went way up for the man at the podium, the speaker at the podium, to see me, to recognize, so I could say it. Well, as soon as that man saw, and I had a hat on, I wore hats to almost all these events. As soon as that he saw I was a woman and I was in this section of the auditorium, his eyes focused immediately on the other side to call upon a man. And I am sure that the reason he did this is he did not want another woman to follow Mildred now after she just spent quite a bit of time needlessly on something that wasn't relevant. And I looked at Don Knight and I said, Did you happen to notice how quickly he moved his eyes over to the other side of the room? And Don Knight agreed. He said, I noticed that, and he said, I told him how I felt, and he said, I agree with you totally. And he looked at me and he patted me nicely on the shoulder, and he said, but you told me the two reasons. And the man who got up and explained the reasons were exactly what I told Don. So Don said, I know you knew the reasons. He said, at least I know them. So those are some of the things, as I said, that I had to confront, not only by being a woman in a man's field, but we had women in there who, and we all say things say bad things at bad times, or our timing is just not right. But those situations, as I said, I happened to be. I was at some good times at the right times at the right places, but I was at some wrong times at the wrong places, I guess. But that wasn't that crucial of an event. But I just noticed that was one of the things that I did. And let's see how many. Oh, it says here only 180 representatives participated, and 5 women were in attendance. So I was at right, and I didn't even see that. I just noticed that here. Okay, so that gets us all the way through 1976. So I'm going to take a little break now, and we'll start tomorrow with 1977. Get caught up to date. Okay, we're back to do 1977. But it wasn't the next day. Today, I can't remember what that day was, but today is February 4th. I've had this cold and cough and flu, whatever it is, plus the side effects of the danazole and the prednisone, so just sort of washed out for a couple days. But now we're ready to go again, okay? I hope. Doesn't look like I'm centered in the camera. I hope it is. Okay, remember this is still now add-ins. These are papers we found that we're going to add into the other videos we made from the 70s and 74, 75s and so forth. Oh, don't start now, please. Somewhere in the video, whether it be in the beginning or in the middle or somewhere, I'm going to, or maybe at the end, I don't know, because I am a Virgo, and many times I would read different Virgo articles. My husband would be furious with me, but to me it was a great way of helping me to stay calm a little, and not be so demanding on myself and other people. So when there would be some comment in there about take time to smell the roses, so to speak, or that was a good reminder for me. So I used it a great deal in that vein. But this one says Virgo concentrates on improvement, and that was very, very, very typical of me. Still is. I always like to improve things. It says practical and fastidious. The Virgo woman is a perfectionist who has a beauty for an eye for detail. And there are so many articles that were true. We used to buy the monthly ones, and as I said, they're sort of fun. Okay, 1977 now. I think I mentioned on the other tape that there was a man from DuPont. I'm sure I did. Stanley Williams, I believe, was his name, from DuPont, when we sent out information on the Safe Town Community Involvement folders. I don't remember at that time if I had one of these Safe Town Community Involvement folders available, so we'll insert that into here. But anyway, after talking with him, and when he told me my original pamphlet I sent him had nothing except some pictures of children in Safety Town and so forth, he said to do something of what it does for the community, and everything that I explained to him on the phone. He said, after I explained to him on the phone, he said, "Do you have something like that in writing?" And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "Well, why don't you put something together, in writing?" And then we came up with this. Safety Town is community involvement, and that's why we have the stop signs in 8 different categories. Okay? And because he mentioned that we didn't have any, so to speak, credibility, we didn't have names of people in our first pamphlet, we didn't do any of that. The first thing we did is put a nice picture of Bill Cosby. Anyone who saw that knew there was credibility, because he wouldn't be involved unless he investigated the program. And then we have each category from the front broken down. The children, what it does for the children, for the uniformed personnel, what it did for the teenagers and the city and school officials. And on this side was the parents and the senior citizens. Okay. And by the way, in this corner, way down in this corner here, is a picture of my mother-in-law and father-in-law, who used to help a great deal. My mother-in-law still does. My father-in-law passed away. And then the last page is civic clubs and business and industry. And then we have a picture of our Clancy tying in his message. And then we had National Safety Town Center. Now let me very quickly just read Bill Cosby's messages. Now I hope you know, again, I'm not saying this for many pats on the back, but this is how you have to do what you do, and how you have to do it when you have celebrities. You write out everything for them and send it to them, and they approve it or make corrections and so forth. I have to say that I was just amazed how many things I sent to Fran Shields and Julie Phillips for Bill Cosby to approve, and I don't think I ever received anything back with a correction. They approved everything just the way I wrote it, and I was just amazed. It says, "Hi there. As you may already know, I've stayed very close to kids and their feelings all my life, because kids are the greatest, and they're our greatest, most valuable natural resource. But there is something I have found really hard to believe. Thousands of kids won't make it to first grade this year." You have to remember, this is in the 70s, and kindergarten wasn't a requirement. "They'll be dead, and thousands more will be seriously injured or permanently disabled, all from accidents that could have been prevented." Now, we'd rather not think about things like that, but that's what's wrong. That's why these accidents happen. We don't stop to think about things like kids do. For instance, have you ever thought about how complicated this world is when you're only 4 years old? There's so many rules to learn, discoveries to make, and problems to solve. Nearly everything in their life is brand new to them, and they're curious. They want to explore. How can they know what's safe, what's unsafe? There is no magic button we can push to give kids safety information the very second before they need it. Kids must be trained to be safety-minded, and that's why Safety Town is such a fantastic program. It provides proper instruction and specific training that are extremely effective in reducing and preventing accidents of all kinds. Safety Town not only teaches our kids about safety, but it gives us parents it gets us parents involved with our children so we can learn too. And it gets many other people involved, as you will discover by reading this booklet. Best regards, Bill Cosby, Honorary Chairman, National Safety Town Center. Okay? Very proud of that. I was so excited when they approved that. These are just some extra copies for our file. Okay, we'll put this down here. And that was copyrighted in 1977. Okay. This is something, I think there's a couple of sheets here. Right after we obtained Bill Cosby's honorary chairman, we did some things for our our people. Okay. This is not here, this goes over here. We'll have to put that in another sheet. That goes in another year. We made program covers for them. Okay. And they put their own name of their community, the opening day ceremonies, and their own information. And they put this in on the back. All that we sent them was the front sheet, and then it says, on behalf of our honorary chairman, Bill Cosby, we extend our sincere appreciation. Thank you for caring and sharing and promoting safety for kids. And Dorothy Schlatt, founder and president, I signed my name. Okay? And then what they did in the center, as I said, this was the blank. This is what we sent them. Just a plain, with the color, was two colored, and this. And then what they in turn did is they went ahead and added their, whatever they want to their program. They want to give thanks to their volunteers who assist in the program, give thanks to people who donated. So it was, and we sent them hundreds of sheets, whatever they needed for opening day ceremonies. Okay? Then we sent out, again, some consignment sheets to the people. You've seen these before. Every year we had to, well, maybe not every year, but maybe every other year or so, when we added new products, we had to change these and update these. And again, we always gave them information with it. This is August 1st, 1977. This is from the American Trucking Association in Washington, D.C., Mary Jo Long. I had met her when I was at one of the conferences in Washington. And she wrote to me, Dear Dorothy, thank you for your remarks concerning the latest Woman Power. That was a publication that they put out, and we talked about it. I am glad it pleased your organization. Perhaps it will initiate some new members for you. I look forward to your next visit to Washington and our initial meeting. I would like to see our operations here include your safety program. And that was a copy to J.R. Halliday and Willard Johns. And Willard Johns was one of the executives, I believe, from American Trucking Company. Okay, now this, okay, we had, all right, that was, we discussed that. Okay, I'm not too sure what part that went into, but we'll do it from there. When we went into the instructor t-shirts, and I think I might have showed this before, I'm not sure, and I don't have the instructor shirt here to show, but we will add that in. This says National Safety Town Center hereby certifies that blank is a Safety Town instructor for and is recognized as an official national international Safety Town instructor. And it had my name on it, signed it. And on the back it had a little message to them from Bill Cosby with his oh, this one was with Clancy. I'm sorry, this one was with Clancy. We started with Clancy. Congratulations, you have now joined thousands of special young people like you who are concerned about people. You are special because you have sacrificed many activities, your time and effort to help children learn the importance of safety. We hope you are as proud to wear your shirt as we are of you. Your friend, Clancy. Please remember, always think safety. Now, we did this from 74, 75 when we introduced the t-shirts, until, I think until 77. And then we left the same message. No, take that back. We have another message with Bill. And we changed Bill Cosby's picture. We'll have to update that. Okay, this was I'm a little out of order here. That was January 12, 1977, to the White House Conference on Highway Safety attendees. From Richard Peete. This is from the Citizens from Highway Safety. This was an extremely, extremely intelligent man. He was an attorney and helped me a great deal. He was one of the ones that told me never to tell anybody on the Hill that I was a volunteer, because they would think of me as a PTA person and would not really listen to anything that I was saying. Okay, it says conference transcripts. We were delighted that you were able to attend the December 14th conference on White House safety at the White House. From all reports, the session was a great success in spite of the enforced brevity of their presentations. The panelists managed to cover each topic's major issues and controversies. It sparked vigorous questioning from the floor. We at Citizens for Highway Safety are grateful to have had such capable and outstanding panelists at this conference, and the broad diversion of participants fostered an exchange of views by representatives of companies, unions, safety groups, and other organizations whose paths otherwise seldom cross. A complete transcript of the conference will be available in the very near future for $5 and so forth. But that was an excellent, excellent conference. I'll turn this upside down here. Okay. I want to keep this in order. I don't want to have to keep going through this. Okay. Oh. See, if I would have waited just a minute. Now here's the card. Let me get this and we can compare it. And that way. Okay. All right. Okay, this was the card we made with Clancy first. As I said, that was from 75 through 77. Had the same front. Okay. But different backs. Now, this does have the same wording. And it has a picture of Bill Cosby wearing our t-shirt. So we did not change the wording on this one. We did a little bit later down the road. And you will... I'm trying to see if I have some here. Yep. Here's one right here. How about that? Boy, are we... This is good. Okay. Let's do this the third time. We won't use the first two. We'll use this one. Okay. This was the one done by Clancy. We use this. Okay. Let's do it this way. We'll hold them. Okay. These two are the same. The front. This was the one we used with Clancy from 70, 75, 76. I think it was just 75 and 76, because then we got Bill at the end of 76, and we did this in 77. We used the same wording and his picture. Now, this came about a few years later, a little different front, basically the same wording. We just highlighted some different words, but we added a new picture in the back with just Bill's face. We didn't like that. Sure, it didn't come out too well. And then we added a new paragraph. Congratulations. You have now joined thousands of special young people who, like you, are special people because of sacrifice. Well, you know what? It is the same wording. It just set up differently. So we just have 3 pictures. We'll have to really get this fixed for the final cut on that. But that's what this video is for, is to put it all together, and then we'll go from there. All right. And we'll put this over there with the rubber band so we don't lose that one. Now, I think I'm not sure if we showed this before. This is what is on the cars. I think we showed this before on our little car, so I'm not going to go into that too much. And here is, this is one of the first folders Prudential did for us. And then this was the original one, and then as we added things, this was the original. Okay, this was the original. And then what we did is had this printed in the same two colors. And as we added new materials, we just did this on the top. And this is the edition of Bill Cosby button, the graduation hat, and the keychains. Okay. This was the very first one. I think we showed this before, and this was written on for some corrections. Okay. And this is all the information that we had to type up and send to Prudential or the printer or whoever, so they would know what wording had to go with each specific, like the certificates, posters, and stationery with each item. Okay. I'll see. Here's another one that goes. We're going to be so organized after this. This is January 24th, 1977. Dear concerned safety friend, this is a letter I sent. Let me just read it here. On December 14th, you and I attended a White House safety meeting. This was after the White House meeting. Unfortunately, time did not allow us to meet personally. They gave us a list of who was there, so I followed up and sent this letter to them. Therefore, through this letter, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce you to our program, organization, and myself. Our program, Safety Town, is a total safety education program to introduce preventive procedures and safety awareness to preschool children and their parents. In addition, it offers numerous benefits to teenagers, parents, senior citizens, school and city officials, and so forth. Our organization, National Safety Town Center, serves as a coordinating and resource center. Many services are offered, however, major emphasis is placed on providing printed information, materials, personal guidance, and assistance to local communities, and promoting the importance of preschool safety education throughout the country and the world. In 1976, over 300 safety towns were in operation in the United States and 7 other countries. I became extremely concerned in the early 60s of the lack of proper instruction and effective training in safety education to our preschool children. As a result, after a year of research, I introduced a total safety education program in Bedford, Ohio. During the next 6 years, in addition to promoting the program, I did extensive research in obtaining information for the 6 guidebooks and materials now available. See enclosed sheet for detailed background information. I always send nice little publicity packets. Now that you are acquainted with the 3 of us, I would like to comment on one topic that was discussed at the White House meeting, that being restraints. I am delighted to inform you of a very supportive group in promoting the use of safety belts, a group that you probably were never aware of or considered as being promoters and effectively helping your efforts, that group being preschool children. You have to remember this was at a time when they were starting to promote safety belts, 1977. In our enclosed booklet, you will notice a picture of a child buckling up. This process is part of our Safety Town instruction. Before children are permitted to take their cars, in parentheses, or in quotes, from their Safety Town parking lot, they must learn how to fasten their safety belt. Instruction in the form of visual aid and demonstration are given to children prior to their parking area experiences. As a result of the above instruction and experience, which the children repeat daily during the 10-day course, additional benefits occurred involving teenagers' parents that were not anticipated. This buckling up training became habit forming with the children, and consequently, upon entering the family car, children not only buckled up, but instructed and insisted on parents doing the same. And I have underlined instructed and insisted because that's what the parents told us. On the reverse side, we have listed other parents' comments taken from additional questionnaires. The enclosed copy of a questionnaire will verify a parent's reaction as well. I was extremely surprised at the high percentage of parents who made reference to safety belt usage, especially when no specific question pertaining to safety belts appeared on the questionnaire. This, to me, meant that the children frequently discussed and demonstrated safety belt usage for parents to vividly have this recall when filling out the questionnaire. An additional factor in arriving at my decision was that parents are given only a few moments to compare the questionnaire with no previous mention of the form. Therefore, recall must be spontaneous. Numerous safety towns have thousands of these questionnaires. Approximately 50% have some mention of positive safety belt information. In addition to the above, a 1.5 child restraint session with visual aids and printed material is held to inform the parents of the importance of restraints, provide them with the information in purchasing durable and effective restraints. It is our sincere hope that through the instruction and training given to children, the teenagers and parents will benefit in the child restraint session. We are in a small way helping to promote a think safety attitude among all people, from the engineers designing future highways to children encountering a new situation. Currently in print are 2 books. One will explain the benefits of all categories involving Safety Town. This was prior to the community involvement. We extend our best wishes in hoping that all your safety efforts will be productive and successful in 1977. I wish I had the list of all the people we sent this to, but first of all, you have to remember the letters had the word restraints. When the safety belts first came out, that's what they were called, restraints. And it's at many of the meetings that we'd attend, I talked, a lot of people did, but I would always mention that it was a negative form, because I always believed in a positive way of presenting it, just having a positive attitude. And I said, by using the word restraint, you're really telling people you're holding them back, or it just had a negative connotation to it. So, but that's what was all in all the publications of any of the materials that went on safety belts for the adults, not the kids' safety belts at that time. This was for the seat belts for the drivers and passengers, and everything was put your restraint on and so forth. So then they changed to safety belts and safety belts and safety seat belts, whether it should be called seat belts or safety belts, and it's still, I guess, used. Both of them are being used. This is the questionnaire that we sent to the parents, and I think it was the 13 one. I think I mentioned this before. I like this number 12. The mother had, if you've had other children attend this program, have they retained the information? And the mother put, my daughter came 3 years ago, is still very careful about streets and other things. I thought that was great. And this is on the back, and I think I read this before. All these, not all, but some of the comments that came from the parents on the questionnaires. So they could see, so these people in Washington could see how the children went home and told their parents about safety belts, even though, as I said, we really didn't have anything on the questionnaire about it. February 14th, 1977. This is from Don Hevel, the Youth Services Chairman of the Missouri-Arkansas Kiwanian District. Dear Mrs. Schlad, crime prevention was named the major emphasis program of the Kiwanians in 1977 and 78. However, I'm going to get Safety Town on the recommended list for projects for the Youth Service Club Chairman. This is considerable exposure because there are 5,225 Kiwanian clubs in the United States and Canada that spent $18 million on projects last year. I'll be in charge of the Youth Service booth at the International Convention in Miami. The dates are June 25th through the 28th. You certainly will be welcome to place your information in the booth. I'll give you a chance to talk to interested Kiwanians. Hope this will help to get a worthy program started in Kiwanis. And we were really very, very, very thrilled with that. And they went on to, and we were in their national publication as one of their projects for that year. Oh, I think it was for a 3-year program, and then they continued from then on. Okay, this just says 1977 for the museum, and it's a sample of my notes. And here I have read a letter to Carnes. That was Ken Carnes, and he was the director of highway safety in Missouri. Send resume and letter, send article and letter for OTEC, whatever that is. Write letter to Norm Stewart, and just some of my scribbling. Okay, this is in 1977. It says Monday, February something, but I don't have the date. But I remember this was in Maryland, and it's America's oldest newspaper, so it's got to be somewhere around Baltimore, I guess. And here it says Safety Tips. Dorothy Schlatt, Cleveland, Ohio, explains Safe Town purpose to 3 interested listeners. Tom Beckman is the chairman of Safe Town Project for the Pasadena JCs. And Officer Ray Pearson of the Ann Ardell County Police, and Don Summers, a spokesman for Representative Marge Holt, attended an orientation lecture on the project last week at Northeast High. Preschoolers taught to be safety wise. And that's all I have, and I hope someday I find the rest of the article. But that appeared in the Maryland paper in 1977. Okay. Now I think we read this before. This is another copy. This is the second case study that she did. Denny Griswold did for us, okay? All right. March 17, 1977, I sent a letter to the state and district directors. Happy St. Patty's Day, since it was March 17th. Rather than sending you a green flower in celebration of this great day for the Irish, we had this memo printed on green paper. Not only is it cheaper, but it will last longer. You can always make this sheet into a paper flower, but not until after the workshop. And this is just to inform them we're having upcoming workshops that were going to be held. Okay. Just another sheet that we put together on new items, graduation certificates of Clancy, and our new booklet. Okay. We made several sheets of these. Okay. Now, this has to be, this is later. Okay, this has to be in the 80s. Okay, that goes over there. We're getting it all together. There's another different sheet we put out, this one. Okay, and more items, so we had to make it longer. And there's another sheet. March 18th, 1997. Dear Safety Town friend, personally meeting and talking with you yearly on an individual basis is something I would greatly enjoy. However, lack of sufficient hours in the day makes that impossible. Consequently, an alternative method of communication, keeping you informed, is through this letter. The year of 1976 was very successful. We accomplished the following. Bill Cosby agreed to serve as our honorary chairman. Over 300 Safe Towns were in operation in the United States and 7 other countries. We sponsored 9 spring workshops in 5 states. Appointed 28 state, assistant state, district, and assistant district directors. Prudential provided us a grant for our state directors convention. We sponsored National Safety Town Week. 20 governors and numerous mayors signed proclamations in participating. Prudential presented us a grant for the purpose of making a slide presentation to be used in promotional work by directors. Boy, completely forgot about that. Forgot that they gave us the grant for that. Number 8, I had the honor of being invited to participate in 2 White House safety meetings, one at HEW, Health, Education, and Welfare, and one at the White House. Picture number 9, a picture of Safe Town provided by the center appeared in the National Bicentennial Highway Safety Year booklet. Somewhere we had that. That was great. During 1977, we plan to successfully repeat some of the above, plus many new endeavors. The new procedures are, to inform the center of the number of shirts on consignment and so forth. And here we have some of the new coordinators that we had in 1977. This is page 2, explaining the consignment on the new materials that we had. Okay, this goes with the other one. These go with this. April 18th, 1977. Dear concerned safety friend, in my letter to you dated January 14th, I briefly explained why preschool safety education was important and necessary, and how tremendously effective Safety Town has been in preventing and reducing accidents. Enclosed is a copy of our new booklet, Safety Town is Community Involvement, which we sincerely hope will better inform you as to the numerous benefits Safety Town offers local communities. While the major objective of our program is to introduce safety awareness and preventive procedures to preschool children, we are delighted with the numerous spin-offs that benefit so many people. Also enclosed is a workshop registration folder listing the purpose, location of 30 workshops that we will conduct in 25 states. Should you schedule allow, we do hope you or your members of your organization or corporation can attend a workshop and learn firsthand why our total safety education program is creating such interest and excitement. And this was the follow-up letter I sent to the people from the White House conference, because at the end of that letter I said we were printing a book. This is May 3rd, 1977. This is from Charles A. Vanek, Member of Congress. Dear Mrs. Schlatt, thank you very much for your letter of April 26th and the kind invitation to attend your workshop on May 13th. I regret that previous commitments in Washington make it impossible. Please let me know if I may ever be of assistance to you. Congress of the United States. I have a lot of those letters. May 11th, 1977, Judge Judith Richards Hope. Now, you have to remember this is the lady who I mentioned earlier I'd met in New York, or in Washington, I'm sorry. She was at the White House conference. She was one of the women speakers, few women speakers. Dear Mrs. Schlatt, thank you for your recent letter of April 18th, alerting me to the effectiveness and important activities of your organization and enclosing your excellent booklet, Safety Town is Community Involvement. She responded as a result of this letter. She has April 18th. It was March 18th. That's okay. We might have sent them out in 2 shipments. I'm not sure of that, but as a member of the President's National Highway Safety Advisory Committee and as a former transportation coordinator and planner at the White House, I applaud your dedicated service and your excellent ideas. We need more people like you. I hope you will keep me on your mailing list, and the next time you are in Washington, please look me up. All good wishes. Very truly yours, Judge Richards Hope. Now, I think on the other tape I did mention that I did meet with her, and I guess that'll be follow-up letters in the next, maybe next year. But I'll just summarize here. When I did go into Washington to meet with her, I was so impressed with this lady. I sat in her office, went to her office, and we sat for maybe 5 minutes, and I briefly told her what had happened with the Highway Safety Foundation and so forth. And she just looked at me and she said, "Young lady, you need help." And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You need financial help and you need some publicity help." She went over to the telephone, got up from where we were sitting, and just walked behind her desk, called Tom Brokaw in New York. He was not in. She left a message. She said she would get back to me, whatever he said, which she did. And she sent me a letter saying that he felt that it was something that just was not of interest at that time on a national level. But very supportive. She was just the nicest lady. I was just so pleased to have met such a delightful, well, so many delightful ladies, but for her to hear in about 5 minutes of what had transpired, and for her to come back and say, "You need help." I mean, I finally said to myself, "Oh, I think I told her too, I said, you don't have any idea how wonderful it is to say something to someone and they can understand very quickly what the problem was. I said, I've been trying to talk to people and they just don't seem to understand. So from that standpoint, it was so rewarding for me. Okay. This is a duplicate copy. I'll put that over here. August 30th, 1977, from Dr. Leroy Dunn, U.S. Department of Transportation. Dear Dorothy, it was nice meeting with you to discuss Safety Town. Your presentation of the Safety Town materials was most informative and enthusiastic as usual. My staff and I were most impressed with the activities and programs you are conducting. As we have discussed in the past, there is need for evaluation of Safety Town as a pedestrian accident countermeasure. We are interested in your ideas on this subject. Okay. Per your request, I am enclosing a copy of our guide for submitting unsolicited proposals. You mentioned you're interested in contacting the Consumer Product Safety Commission. We have been working with Mr. Ken Giles. I would suggest that you contact Ken and tell him of your interest. So, more paperwork and more proposals went into that. August 31st, 1977. This is from Henry L. Duncombe, Jr., Vice President and Chief Economist of General Motors Corporation, New York, New York. Dear Mrs. Schladd, this is a brief reply to your letter of August 12th. I've read the material you sent with great interest, and I have heard from a number of people about the excellent job you are doing. With respect to the film material to which you refer, I did not mean to imply that our work bears directly on your activity, but rather on safety in general. I am enclosing a brochure which describes 10 motion pictures we have produced on the subject of highway safety. It was this type of material to which I had reference, and there may be some items in this which would be of interest to your group. I would be delighted to see you and suggest that you'll let me know the next time you will be in New York, and we will plan an hour or so. Thank you for writing to me. I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Henry Duncombe. Another one of those things, just could not follow up. I know key people just didn't have time to follow, because you knew after the initial meeting there was going to be continued meetings, and we needed a specific person, or in some cases a department, to put something together, and we just couldn't do that. Okay, for meeting of February 2nd, this was a note for a note. As I stand here before you, I established a few ground rules, some notes that I made, but that's out of line, of course. Okay. And this is another one for the museum. Write letters to, who we all had to put letters to. Okay. This is out of line again, April 24th. Dear Director, I wrote, this is a letter from June Pfeiffer to our directors to inform them about some workshops. This will go in the workshop file. Okay, August 19th, 1977. This is from me to, it says, Dear Safe Town Friend, it was indeed a pleasure for Alan, Ellen, Frank, and me to meet and talk with you at the recent J.C. Allstate in Canton. Now, it was Alan Conrad and his wife, Ellen Conrad, who organized Worcester Safety Town in Ohio, and then he served as our district director for the state, for that area of the state. Did a great job. Used to make excellent presentations. He wore his suit coat and a shirt and a tie, and then he'd wear his National Safe Town Center instructor shirt, and he'd start his presentation, and then he'd take off his tie. He said, I'm a little warm in here. Would you please allow me to take my tie off? And then he'd take off his coat, and then he'd take off his shirt a little bit later, and then he'd be with his National Safe Town Center instructor. Had a nice approach to it. Okay, it was indeed a pleasure to meet you. We would like to, not meet you, but it was a pleasure for Alan, Ellen, Frank, and me to meet with you at the J.C. Allstate in Canton. This we sent to all the people that stopped by the booth. We had them sign up, and we sent them this follow-up letter. Always followed up things. on things of this type to help promote the program. Couldn't do it with the corporation people. This is why Pete O'Grady often and Fred Vero often said to me that I spent a lot of time with the programs, individual programs, rather than some of the other things. But we knew these people were interested and wanted to do something with helping the kids now, rather than spending time with people in Washington and people with corporations writing proposals, as I had done for so many years, and nothing successful as a result. So we knew we'd at least get the programs with the kids, and that was my major concern. Didn't have the money, but we did it on a shoestring budget. We would like to say thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to visit our display, view our slides and materials, and informally chat with us. Frank and I, being former JCs and JCF members, thoroughly enjoyed sharing and exchanging ideas and stories with old and new faces. Since we believe once a JC, always a JC, and since we know what JCs and JCF chapters can accomplish in getting the job done, we have worked very closely with local, state, and national organizations. This was in 1977. Over 50% of our 400 programs are JC or JCF sponsored. Frank is especially pleased and proud of this response since he introduced Safe Town to the first JC chapter in 1965, while serving as president of his local group in Bedford Heights. In 1966, as Ohio Vice President, he encouraged chapters to become involved, and through the years have continued this encouragement throughout the country. We sincerely hope we can add your chapter to our 1978 Safety Town list. I think I mentioned before we thought the JCs would be ideal because they were at the age of 21 to 35 of young children. But we found out that that wasn't necessarily true. Because they changed their whole role as an organization was for leadership training, and you could only serve as chairman for 1 year. So 1 year you'd get a good Safety Town chairman, and the next year, because of lack of leadership training, they wouldn't have it. We found a lot of chapters didn't pay for their supplies. We had a hard time collecting from them because they changed chairman every year. It just didn't seem to work out as well. And then we got more and more organizations such as Kiwanians and Rotarians involved, not just the JCs, because some communities said, well, we don't have a JC organization, but we have a Kiwanians, we have a Rotarian, we have an Optimist. And we said, we don't care who sponsors it, as long as it's nonprofit and they can do it properly. But anyway, this was the letter we sent to all the JC chapters in Ohio that attended that conference. Okay, this is October 25th. Well, before I get to this one, I have these two things here I want to show you. This was, I have no idea, this was in the Cleveland Plain Dealer, I believe. I don't even know if it's Plain Dealer or Press at that time. This was by Bill Dvorak. He was a columnist who put together bits and pieces of people in Cleveland. And down here at the bottom, he has Dorothy Schladd, founder and president of the National Safe Town Center, is on a promotional tour which will take her into 32 states by June 10th. That had to be in the 70s sometime. I have no idea when that was. This is one of these funny moments, okay? Think I'll hold it this way. And this has a date on it. I should have put it in the right place. It says May 4th, 1977. I took Jackie, Jacqueline, I don't like to call her Jackie. I took Jacqueline with me, as she did on many of my trips for seminars. We're going down to Kentucky to do a workshop. We're driving down along the Ohio River, and Jacqueline had not seen, I don't know if she had even seen the Ohio River before down in that part of the country, but there was a large barge going down, and we were very close. I was driving down the street, and the street was here in just a little grass area, and then there was a river. So I had the camera, and I said, oh, Jackie, she had the camera, and I said, I'll stop and take a picture for you. So I stopped the car on the right side. She gave me the camera, I went across, looked both ways, no cars were coming, went across the street, stood on the grassy area, and I'm waiting for the barge to come, and Jackie's saying, turn the camera around. So now I have her camera, I'm not used to her camera, I'm holding the camera this way. So when she says turn it around, I turn it around this way. And I'm looking through it, and I close the shutter. What she meant for me to do is from turn it this way to this way, because I took a picture of my eyebrow. I think that was the funniest thing. We have laughed about that. She saw me doing that, and she finally got out of the car and came up to where I was taking the picture, and because she was laughing so hard, because she could see that I was not turning the camera properly. So she finally took the camera and turned around, and she took pictures of the barge. So we did get it. But that's one of the funniest things. I really enjoyed that. That was fun. Okay. This is October 25th, 1977. This is volunteer efforts of Dorothy Schlatt. Now let me see what we had to submit this one for. Okay. Well, I don't know. There's 8 pages here. Let me just very quickly skim through this. This is the one. Okay, you've heard this before. This is the one I think Frank wrote on my behalf. The Volunteer of the Year Award for 15 years of volunteer efforts. Okay, so this is the one that Frank submitted. I'll go with the other one. Okay, now we had to put together, now a lot of these are stapled in our files, but when they went out they were either with the binder, the type you could slide on, or they were in a packet. But this is what is Safety Town and what community involvement and so forth. And the purpose of Safety Town, the objectives, state directors, advisory board, questionnaire responses, what would you like the center to accomplish for you, general information, the board of directors, our organizational chart, explanation of organizational chart, who reported to who, and then background on National Safety Town Center, and our progress report. This was from progress report from 74, 75, and 76. This is obviously one of the packets that we had to put together, a part of the packet we put together for some of the foundations and corporations. So you can see how much time this took, because each one had to be done to their specific requirements for their foundational organization. Okay, December 16th, 1977. This is from the Cleveland Trust Bank. Denial for your credit application. Your request for extension of credit for working capital for Safety Town has been denied. And we did not have, they put debt income ratio excessive. So we had more money going out than we had coming in, and we could not get a loan. Okay, so that's why we had to keep taking the loans and mortgages on our house and so forth. Okay, here's an advisory board. I think we talked about this before, but let's update this to the... See, this is so hard because I want to do it in sequential order, 74, 75, 76, so forth. But yet we have to, every few years, we had to add new members to the board. Okay? Now this is we're in 77. Who do I have in 77 here? Let me see. Okay. Oh, well, this is going to tie in nicely. August 25th, 1977. This is from Judge Judith Richards Hope. Now they have her under law offices, but I was under the impression that she was a judge. Maybe she became a judge later on. Okay, dear Dorothy, it was a great pleasure to see you here in Washington yesterday. I hope that your trip was successful and you will be able to keep up the outstanding work which you and your husband have been engaged in for so long. I did speak with the White House, and Kurt Schmoke there assured me that he would be in touch with you. Moreover, Tom Brokaw was well aware of your letter to today and has assured me that he will evaluate very closely the possibility of a spot on Today for you and perhaps Bill Cosby. I look forward to seeing you again, both here in Washington and on the early morning NBC television. All best wishes and luck. Okay? Now that was the initial thing, and then we received a later response saying that he could not. Oh, here it is. Okay, these are a little out of order. Boy, I'd like to get these things in order. Okay, here's a letter on July 22nd that I sent to her because she wrote to me first. After I sent that packet to everyone, she sent to me. That doesn't make sense. After the White House meeting, which she attended, I sent a packet to everyone there that I read to you before about our organization. Let me introduce our program organization and myself to you. Then she responded with her letter, which was in May, I believe. On July 22nd, I responded to her, and I have Dear Judge Hope, so she must have been a judge at that time, the Honorable Judith Richards Hope. It was indeed a pleasant surprise to receive your letter of May 11th, and I sincerely thank you for your complimentary comments. Please accept my apologies for my lateness in responding. Traveling and conducting workshops throughout the country for the past 2 months have created a tremendous accumulation of unanswered correspondence. Our workshops were very successful. For example, funding was made available in one state to conduct a pilot project, which will open August 1st. We will be most happy to keep your name on our mailing list so you can be kept abreast of our activities. I will be in Washington August 22nd through the 25th and would very much like to meet with you during that time. I would indeed welcome this opportunity of not only meeting a fellow safety colleague, but it would allow us to discuss various aspects of the safety field. I will call you soon to arrange a definite meeting time. And then that was July, and then she responded in August. And as I said, that meeting that transpired in August 21st. She was on the 24th. I was there. On the 20, because she wrote this letter on the 25th and said she met me yesterday. So when I met with her on the 24th, that's when she got up and called Tom Brokaw, and he responded to her, I guess, later that day or the next day, and assured me that he would evaluate the program and a possible spot on the Today program. And again, like many of the media people that I've met, such as Jan Jones and Fred Griffith and other people, they wanted to do, the announcers wanted to do a segment on it. They believed in it, but they couldn't get it past their producers and directors and the decision-making people. Just didn't feel it would go. Okay, so then that was on okay. Well, this is all about Judge Judith Richards Hope. Well, what happened here, the reason I have this here, okay, is, we had a lot of correspondence. Let me start this. This is a whole thing of the correspondence. It's from her. It started on May 11th when I sent her that letter after the White House conference. She then July 22nd, August 25th was the Tom Brokaw one. August 29th, I responded to that. She wanted me to call her Judith and not Judge Hope. Dear Judith, what a delightful, charming person you are. It was so very nice to personally meet you, and you were most gracious in affording me your time from your affording me time from your extremely busy schedule to discuss our program and organization. I am very grateful for your immediate response in contacting people to assist us. With people like you assisting, we will accomplish our goal to establish a safe town in every town. As a result, our precious children and their parents will become better informed of the tremendous importance of safety awareness and preventive procedures. I did have the opportunity of meeting with Kurt Schmoke on Thursday afternoon in his office. He was very interested, offered several suggestions, and most willing to help. Thank you for making this meeting possible. I forgot all about meeting with him. I remember the meeting. I don't remember what he was like, but your very nice letter dated August 25th arrived this morning, and we were very pleased to read that you had talked with Tom Brokaw, and he will very closely evaluate the program of the Safety Town spotted today. This exposure would be a tremendous way of informing the public nationally about Safety Town. Please be assured that I will keep you abreast of our activities, developments as they occur, and I sincerely hope you will join our Safe Town movement by informing others of the necessity of preschool safety education. Okay, November 22nd, 1977. Dear Judith, I'm wondering if you heard any word from Tom Brokaw regarding Safety Town being presented on the Today program. Sorry I missed you during my recent Washington visit. P.S. I am presenting Safety Town to the National Community Education Association in Las Vegas December 1st. What fantastic exposure. I am so excited. Okay. November 28th, 1977, from Judith Richards Hope. Dear Dorothy, I was delighted to receive your letter of November 22nd with the good news of your invitation to Las Vegas Convention. I wish I had better news to report regarding the Today Show, but I have not had any positive news from Tom Brokaw. You are doing a very important job and doing it well. Congratulations. I know your Las Vegas presentation will be a tremendous success. Warm regards to you and your family for the holidays. And then October 16th, 1978. Sorry to not get together during my recent visit to Washington. My meetings took me more time than I anticipated. I realize your schedule is extremely busy, but I do hope within the next few days you can squeeze in a few moments for Safety Town. I would like you to contact Tom Brokaw to see if the schedule can now include Safety Town. Since several months have passed since you made the initial request, he might have some available time. This would be an ideal time to inform the public because it would give them more than adequate time to organize a program in their community for next summer. Please inform Mr. Brokaw that I have appeared on several television programs, and being on television does not frighten me. In fact, I love it. Also, please inform him that I can gear my comments to any area he feels most appropriate, such as what is Safety Town, why safety education in preschool, how I literally sell safety, why the safety program is unique in that parents and the community request the program, experiences and encounters with the government, why corporations are becoming involved in our program, and so forth. I plan to be in New York City November 16th through the 19th, and would be most happy to meet with you and Mr. Brokaw any time that is convenient. It would be an excellent time for him to meet me and ask me any questions. Hope you and your family have a very enjoyable summer. Okay, that was, I gotta keep that separately. I like that, even though that was in the other file for the advisory board. I think we did ask her to be on the advisory board at one time, and that's why. Okay. And this is still in 1977. We didn't do anything with increasing the board at that time. Okay. Now, let's see what this is all about. This whole folder says, Afternoon of Harmony. Okay. Now, this is 1977, and I guess the first thing we should look at is November 13th was the actual day of the event, but we've got to, you know how I do this, I always have to turn over because I'm from the back to the front, and we'll do this quickly. My husband, I've not talked much about our personal life. If we ever had such a thing as a personal life, it was all revolved around Safety Town. But my husband was I don't know what year, probably 30, let's see, probably about 1968, somewhere around there, because I think he just got his 30-year pin from the Barbershop Society. But about 1968, he began to sing in a barbershop chorus and then in some quartets. And very good young man. Very good voice and very good quartetting. So we decided to, one year, have the quartet and the chapter come out to Solon High School and put on a benefit to raise money for Safety Town, presenting an afternoon of harmony. A benefit concert for National Safety Town Center, Sunday, November 13th. Here's a picture of Bill Cosby and a message. Here was the lineup of the show. Master of Ceremonies was Brian Frank. We had the Cuyahoga Valley Sweet Adeline sing. The Crooked River Music Company, which was Frank's quartet. Three Mugs and a Shaver. And they had intermission. They had the Cleveland East Suburbaneers. They had the Horse and Buggy 4. And then finally I made a presentation and did a little bit of talking. And then we expressed appreciation to the following patrons for their support who bought tickets and so forth. Okay? But in the process of doing it, sounds very simple, of course, but we sent letters out October 7th to the president of different organizations to buy tickets, saying the safety of our precious children is of concern to everyone. We are pleased and proud that I had the opportunity to attend Safety Town in your community. We must have gotten names from the chamber. We sincerely hope you'll read the enclosed letter to your members at your next meeting and encourage your support in making our afternoon of harmony a success. Okay, so we did all that. Probably have a lot of these in there. Nothing is ever done simply. Now, let's see. Here we have a sheet that says on Sunday, November 13th, the Cleveland East Suburban Air chapters are going to present the show. We must have sent this out to Safety Town friends, encouraging them to buy tickets. Anybody we had on the list. See, we spent more time on these little things and not getting money. But at least it did some money. I don't know. Kate brought in a few pennies, better than working on those proposals. October 24th, enclose our 2 complimentary tickets for the Afternoon of Harmony. I think these we gave 2 tickets to people who gave us donations. Somebody enclosed a $6 check and said, sorry, Lenore and I will not be able to attend the Harmony. We will be out of the country celebrating our 25th anniversary. And it says, regards Frank, have no idea who it is. There's the Crooked River Music Company. Had some nice publicity with that. And these are, oh, we put these posters, the tickets were $3 a piece. Okay? And we put these posters all over town. In grocery stores, supermarkets, drugstores, anywhere. We just put them everywhere and anywhere. Okay? And of course, in order to get to this final copy, this is how we had to do all the typing. You know how all that goes. Put that together. That's just a, let me see if this is, here's another article in the newspaper, so we got some nice publicity. Okay. And this was all the, these are thank you letters that we sent out to people who bought tickets. This is Mr. and Mrs. Stephen Radke, Bedford Music Store, Center in Bedford, Ohio. On behalf of Dr. Bill Cosby, our honorary chairman, and everyone affiliated with our organization, I would like to express my most sincere appreciation for supporting our Afternoon of Harmony. It is because of concern, interest, and dedicated people like you who have made our program and organization so successful throughout the country and other countries. Please inform the ushers that you are our patron and they will seat you accordingly. We had a special reserved area for them. And we sent them their tickets because they bought the tickets. Okay, this is again, goes with this. Okay. Individuals we sent letters to, complimentary tickets. These are a lot of things that are just the same as what was before, they're just not filed properly. And here are the list of, like this is Chagrin Valley clubs and organizations that we got from, this was in the Chagrin Valley area, Solon, Hudson, the American Association of University Women, American Field Service, American Legions, Bainbridge Civic Club, Bainbridge JCs, the Boy Scouts and so forth. This is how we got the list, and sent all these people letters asking to buy tickets. I don't think we made a lot of money on it, but made some money. Okay. We got a list from the Twinsburg Library, some of their organizations that they worked with. A lot of work. Okay. We got a list from Solon clubs and schools and organizations. They send us a list of their people. We had to sign the application from the schools to get that going. Okay. I think this is pretty much the whole. October 8th, 1977. These were some of the patrons that we had. We went by Hudson, Solon, Chagrin Falls, who was giving us donations and how much. Okay. A lot of paper. Okay, let's see what this one, this looks like it should be nice. Hope it's here. What is this? Harmony is offered by barber shoppers. There's no picture, just an article. But now, why do I have this whole big paper if it doesn't have anything in here? It should have something in here. We'll have to look at this later because I don't see anything about barber shopping. About the show in here. Well, maybe it's in there, I just didn't see it. But if it's that small, okay, I don't know what this is in here for. Let's see if there's something about the barbershop show. Oh, there it is, Quartet to Give Concert. Okay, and I believe this is the Akron paper. Now, let me see, was it the, no, Solon paper. Okay. And sent to these were complimentary tickets we sent to the newspapers, the Town and Country Trader, Emmanuel Hewley at the Cleveland Press, who used to be great for us, Beatrice Vincent, the Cleveland Press, the Plain Dealer Ruth Wirtz, Chagrin Valley, Herald Sun, she was super, Hudson Hub, let me see, Hudson Times, Comcor, Ed Fisher, WJW, Joe Mayer, Alan Davis. Okay, all those people we sent complimentary copies of. Tickets to. Okay, so that's what, oh, I was turning this over, and I probably shouldn't have turned this over. But that was what this was all about. Okay. And here are the tickets. Here are the actual tickets people had. I have no, let's see, this has to be fixed anyway. It's not in the best of order. So we'll just leave it like that. I was turning them over, but okay. That's what the Afternoon of Harmony was all about. It was, I appreciate the guys doing that for us. And, because we didn't give them any money at all. They did it on a volunteer basis. We didn't give the chapter men or the quartets. Everybody did it voluntarily to help Safety Town. So we used all of our creative power here that we had, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna put this way for you. Uh, this is in here, I'm not sure, again, what year we came out with this traffic light, but the brochure, and we might have seen this again. But we'll go with that. Okay. Another fun side of things. I don't know what year it had to be, but this year, I guess 77, 78, that Jackie gave me this coloring book. And it says, "Your happy birthday coloring book." Okay. We used to do a lot of coloring and fixing things up for the printers, to putting what different colors would go and so forth. So this was just really a cute inside joke with the two of us. Here's hoping your birthday is a lot of fun from the moment it starts till the moment it's done. See everyone singing happy birthday, color them very happy and very off key. And just a cute coloring book. Hope your birthday is just as fun and lighthearted. Love, Jackie. Very, very nice gal. Okay, remember the first coloring book we had that I did for the State Department? A few years later, State Department of Highway Safety came out with almost the identical book, as you can see, added a few things, but again, do's and don'ts. Okay, but I noticed we did have, this was do and don't, we had 2 pages that had do and do, so we're making progress with that. And then they added a few things in here, and this was called Safety is Forever. So they took the original book and updated it. Okay, and this one is the major activities of 1977. We did that one. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break right now. Okay, took my short break, filled up my cup with some splash, and now we're ready to go into 1978. Again, these are add-ins. This is a sheet. It says here, Carolyn Wilson typed a sheet like this for each state indicating which towns received books from us through 1974. All other 49 sheets I threw out in June of 1978 when we retyped each sheet with a new policy of index cards for each inquiry and a sheet for each state indicating, including names, addresses, and so forth. But this is a sheet of paper, and what Carolyn Wilson had done is type the state, you can't see it here, Illinois, and then she would type a town that we had, a safety town, and leave room, and then when we got another one, she would type it above or below in alphabetical order, so we could look through 50 sheets and see where they all were. I don't know why I threw them out in 1978, because it would have been nice to know in 74 exactly where we had safety towns. But no, these were the ones where we sent towns received books from us. And when we're saying books, I'm assuming it's the safety town packet, but it doesn't say that. I don't know what received books from us through 1974. I'm assuming it's the 3,000 plus things that came from the Highway Safety Foundation. Okay. All right, so that's something for the museum. Now we're back to the advisory board. Like I said, we didn't do anything in the past few years because we organized in 76. And with 3 members, then we were told to increase it to 5 members, and later on to 7 members and so forth. So we started in March of 23. Well, we were also, that was the board of directors, the 7, which was eventually a 7-person board. But then we also had to have an advisory board. And remember, I mentioned those are the people who had specialized in, who were specialists in various fields, a judge or a PR person or advertising and so forth. And so one of the people that was on there that we asked in March 23rd, and all these people consented, and They were very nice. Was Judge Frederick Coleman, U.S. State Attorney's Office in Cleveland, Mr. William Bryan, Vice President at that time of the Greater Cleveland Growth Association. He went on to be President. Mr. Herbert Strawbridge, Chairman of the Board of the Higbee Company, he declined because I think he was retiring or something, but he was the only one that declined. Mr. John Lath, no, I take that back. Mr. Strawbridge wasn't the only one. Mr. John Lath, who was the president of the Greater Cleveland Growth Association, declined because we also had William Bryant on. Henry Doverstein, Chief of Police for the Cleveland, Ohio. He was an excellent man, good supporter of Safety Town. Okay. These are just Judge August Prytel was involved. Okay, these are just follow-up letters to these people, but again, everything was kept in supposedly in order. Okay, that's, I'm flipping these over as fast as I can. Merle Harmon also agreed to be on the board. Now, Merle Harmon was the man who wrote the book, The New Vaccine on Child Safety. And when I met him, I can't recall exactly what year I met him, but it had to be around 74, 75. He contacted me saying he had this book. When he heard about our organization, he was in Jenkintown, Pennsylvania, and would we be able to help promote his books? And he also had a lot of other items on child safety. Again, I think he was 20 years ahead of his time, because you now have the safety zone and some large companies selling safety items, and that's all they do. Everything from safety lamps to plug-ins to books and so forth. But he sent me a sample of all the things that he had, and there were quite a few things. I would say 30, 40 different things. And he wanted to know, he was a executive with some large corporation and was going to be promoted, and wanted to know if I wanted to buy all these items that he had, promotional items. And they were all safety related, everything from putting a sponge, and when we redo this, again, the splicing, we can include some of these pictures, putting a sponge in the small baby's bathtub, so you put the baby on so the baby wouldn't slide, and of course the covers for the little plugs, and door locks on the doors for the cabinet doors and so forth. So we negotiated on a price, and I ended up buying the items and buying out his company. I think it was a matter of, I don't know, at that time I think $3,000 something seems to come to mind. Maybe it was more, I'm not sure, but the company was called Safety Now. And I thought the vaccine books would be an excellent seller, because they were a good paperback book with a lot of information. One of his children was injured or hurt somehow, and he had a difficult time finding where to get information, how to get help, and that's how he started writing the book. Very, very nice man. I'm sorry I've lost contact with some of these people, but maybe who knows, in the future somebody might be saying this, and might be the son or a child of Merle Harmon, or someone that knew him from Pennsylvania, and that he was instrumental in doing some things for safety. This was an Akron-Beacon Journal of 3/24/77. There is a picture of William R. Miller and he was on our board of directors. He was the safety director of Goodyear. Very, very nice man. Always positive, always encouraging. And he was William R. Miller, Director of Equal Opportunity at Goodyear. Will visit St. Augustine College in Raleigh this month to be guest lecturer in a personal administration class. His appearance is part of the National Urban League's Black Executive Exchange Program. Miller is a graduate of Tennessee A&I State University and earned a master's in education at the University of Akron. He once worked in the school system of his native Albany, Kentucky. Okay. Very, very nice man. Okay. There's just a list of people on the board through 1978. I want to keep in there. Okay, a letter that we sent them, a follow-up letter. Just telling them their name will appear on the stationery. Okay. Okay, and here's another lady that we had on the board, on the advisory board. What a wonderful lady she was, always encouraging. She recently passed away, and I would say about 2-3 months ago. It had to be September of '97, I think. Dr. Ruth Miller, and she was, I want to say, the backbone of Tower City in Cleveland, and developing that with the Four City Enterprises. She was married for many years to Samuel Miller, and just a very, very, very nice lady, and very intelligent. Very, very smart lady. Okay. Paul Warfield, we sent him a letter. No, that's 1981. We have to put that aside for later. We went through 1970s. 79 is all we're doing now. Okay, through the board of directors. Advisory board members. I'll get these people straightened out here. Okay. So that puts us into 1978. Now we sent out notices saying we're introducing some Frisbees. We had the soft ones and then the hard ones. We called them Frisbees at first, and then we got a letter from Wham-O Company saying that that Frisbee was a registered trademark, and we changed it. We had to change it to the flying disc, but we understood the importance of copyright and registration. All right, this was an addition we added to one of our books. I was so tired of seeing the policemen in all the coloring books that had gray hair and big fat bellies and a pipe out of their mouth that I wanted a young-looking policeman. The policemen we worked with weren't that old. They were young-looking policemen, so this is one that I'm not sure who all was in the design of this. It looks like a little bit of Jackie's artwork, but Lynn might have been involved too, I'm not sure. Okay, and just little notes. More notes. The Safety Town Center, National Safety Town Center, has been striving to get funds to help all communities. Here are dedicated people volunteering to help others, and the Toledo Police Department takes advantage. Okay. When we sent out the Safe Town Community Involvement pamphlet, and the other one explaining what the program is, the Toledo Police Department used a lot of that wording and put it on a regular sheet of paper. When we called them and told them it was copyrighted, and I think I talked with the police chief at the time, he was just, outraged. He said, "You think you're the only one that can come up with ideas on things?" And I said, "No, sir," but I said, "The wording is word for word. You took it right out of the pamphlet." I said, "We don't mind if you use it, just, at the bottom of your sheet of paper, put a credit line that information used is from the National Safe Town Center pamphlet." Well, just outraged, didn't he? He was so upset. Didn't want anything to do with us in the program. Had the program, but changed it and called it Safety City, because he said he was in a town, he was in a big city of Toledo. Okay, so I wasn't going to worry about things like that. Well, in a way, I shouldn't say that. In a way, I worried about them because I knew you had to protect the copyright and the registration. But on the other hand, I could have talked to that man for hours and hours and hours, and there's no way you're going to change his mind. And again, that took me a long time to get through this head too, because I thought if I talked to them, they'd understand, that people would be logical and understand and just be fair and give people credit. But that took me many, many years to overcome. I spent too much time trying to convince those people. Shouldn't have done that. Should have just crossed them off and went on. Okay, article for police chief and National Safety Council newsletter. Where are we going with Safety Town? And while I feel it's up to the local communities to determine what's best for the community, information must be presented, must be accurate in presentation so it will not hurt the children. Okay, and you sampled the 4-H magazine printout. They had, I think they had a child restraint or child seat put in incorrectly, or some information was incorrect. I was just such a stickler in saying anything that was printed, especially from a national standpoint, that was misinformation and that could actually end up hurting children instead of helping them. We have found most police departments are not sufficiently staffed to handle administrative end of Safety Town. Items such as registration can be handled by civic organizations and so forth. And I was preparing comments to speak at the Ohio Police Chiefs Association, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, this is letter to Dr. Dwayne Johnson. I've been teaching preschool safety education for 12 years. I know the condition. It was 12 years ago. I know what I've added. And this is an article from the National Safety Council, Early Childhood Safety Education, a sabbatical report by Dwayne R. Johnson, Associate Professor, Department of Industry and Technology, Northern Illinois University. The purpose of my sabbatical in 1971 was to investigate current safety education programs in early childhood safety education and to work, that's why we had to change from preschool to early childhood, because the colleges were saying it had to be early childhood, towards the development of a conceptual approach that might supersede fragmentary safety education programs. And I only have continue on page 6, and I'm missing that one, but it's some safety education programs range from no special effort to seemingly well-coordinated programs. And I'm assuming we were in the well-coordinated program efforts. Okay. This was January 5th, 1978. Yay, I've got a date on here. Corrections for reprint we gave to Dick Evans to reprint. And we had to put on all these little, what had to go over where to make corrections and additions. Okay. January 23rd, 1978. Dear directors, we sincerely hope you enjoyed a very happy holiday season. With the start of the new year, we are initiating some new policies. A $15 check must be sent to the center before anyone will receive a Safety Town packet. Okay, remember we gave them all free with the Highway Safety Foundation. Then I gave them free probably through all the requests from that. And then in 1976, we started charging $15 for the print cost only. And that was 6 guidebooks. I don't know how many pages, a couple hundred pages. But what we would do is we'd send the books with an invoice. And many times they would never send the check back. So in 1978, we instituted a new policy that we must have the check before we send the pack. After a thorough evaluation, the board unanimously agreed to discontinue the 6-month and complimentary policies. And we'd sent the books, on a complimentary basis. If they didn't do the program, if they didn't use it for 6 months, they could send it back. But again, they didn't. We tried everything. Primarily based on a report from our accountant, which indicates that we lost several thousands of dollars printing postage due to people not conforming to our policy rules. You can't believe the excuses people gave us, such as, I gave the books to someone else and can't remember who. The person that had the books moved out of town. It is indeed unfortunate that people had to take advantage. A Safety Town packet consists of 6 guidebooks, 2 booklets, and explanation letters totaling over 300 pages. 2, every person who inquires to the Center for Information will receive our general response. This general response will include the Safety Town booklet, folder, an explanation letter, and close it. Okay? So we sent that out to our directors so they would know. Explanation letter with the general responses. I did more explanations of stuff. I just can't believe it. January 27th, 1978. This letter is from a Mr. Phil Worth. Remember him? He was one of my 4 musketeers at the at the Prudential Company. And he said, Dear Dorothy, how nice of you to write me as you did. So there's a letter before this. We'll find it. The story behind, I had heard that he had retired from Prudential and asked Joe Vecchione for his new address, and Joe gave it to me, so I wrote him a letter telling him I was sorry to hear about his retirement and so forth, and told him that if he wanted to get another, because he was director of public relations and Joe Vecchione was assistant director, I said, we sure need a public relations person, and if you ever think of taking on a second career, we don't have money to pay you, but we have t-shirts and games and books and other things. So I made it a fun letter to him, but he responded and said, how sweet of you to write to me as you did. The story behind my early retirement is that at age 57 and a 30-year Prudential career behind me, I decided it was time to do something else in life. I've already had several offers, none quite as attractive as yours with the t-shirts, but intend taking a breather for a few months before I start on a second career. Just moved to a new modern townhouse, and since I have been living in in a furnished apartment, I'm starting from scratch in furnishing and decorating. Okay, Dorothy, I think this is so, when I read this, I just couldn't believe this. This is why I came so close to so many things. It was just unbelievable. Dorothy, I think Safety Town is tremendous. Confidentially, 2 years ago, I had managed to earmark $80,000 for you in our PR budget. But when I was on vacation, my boss allocated that amount to another project. He will be retiring early this year, and with his leaving, your chances of Pru sponsorship could very well become a reality. And I will pull any strings I can behind the scenes. So not only did we lose the $80,000, but he just wasn't able to pull the right strings because Prudential didn't want to do anything with it. Thank you so much for the Florida fruit box. Unfortunately, it arrived just after I left because I sent it to Prudential. I sent all 4 of them always a nice box of fruit or something from down in Florida because we came down every Christmas for the 2 weeks or 3 weeks that Frank was off from school. But let's see. Unfortunately, it arrived just after I left Prudential and spoiled before I had a chance to retrieve it. But nonetheless, your thoughtfulness is worth 1,000 thanks. Keep up the good work, darling lady, and do keep in touch with fondest thoughts. What a nice, nice man. That was January 27th. I followed up by February 18th, sending him a letter. And again, asking him if he wanted a job. He certainly could do ours, but nobody's going to do it with no pay. They need money. Okay, now, every few years, maybe every 2 or 3 or 4 years, depending on how busy we were in the off, if there was such a thing as an off season when programs were in operation, Jackie would put together, we'd go through and get comments from people, national, local, and state, and business, and corporations, and so forth. And that's how we came up with the national comments. That's a national. Okay. These are state. Okay. Then we had comments from workshops, comments from parents, and comments from seminars. I think the first year we did this, I really wish I could remember the first year we did that. But I went back all the way from, like on the national one, 78 might have been the first year we did this. I'm not sure, because this one ends at 78, so that would be our last year. But on the national level, we went from February 20th, 1970, which was a letter from Patricia Nixon. We used a paragraph. Then from Diane Impulse of the National Safety Council, the American Automobile Club, Beverly Roberts from Theater Authorities, Phil Worth from the Prudential, Betty Ford, Alan Bosch from AFL-CIO, Honorable Richard Hope, Leroy Henry Duncombe, John D. Rockefeller, Governor of West Virginia, Thomas Fish, Vince Toffany, President of the Safety Council. And then we went on and on with the states, from British Columbia, Corvallis, Oregon, Ohio. We used all different states and we mixed them up. And then people who attended workshops, now we didn't have their names because it wasn't necessary, but we knew what state they attended the seminar, so we put that down. And comments from parents and general comments that we had. Now this letter came to us on February 7th, 1977. Jenny Merrill was our director for Arkansas, Monticello, Arkansas. And here's a story concerning the child in the log truck, which you asked me to write in your letter. The story was told to me by the Safety Town instructor who taught the little girl. She said the mother of one of her group called her and wanted to thank her for teaching her child at Safety Town, that she believed what her child learned at Safety Town saved her life. The story was the little girl did not usually ride the bus home from school, but it was raining and the mother did not want to get out in the weather and call the school to have her child ride the bus home. They lived on a highway and she was watching out her window for the bus. She saw the bus stop with lights blinking to stop traffic and saw the little girl get up off the bus and run in front of the bus. By this time she saw the log truck behind the bus and knew it was not stopping or even slowing down for the children to cross the highway. The mother started screaming and running out of the front door just as the log truck passed the bus. After the truck went by, she saw her daughter look both ways and then cross the road. She asked her daughter what made her stop instead of just running out in front of the truck. And the girl said, "That's what they taught us to do at Safety Town, Mommy." Isn't that great? And yet the people in Washington said Safety Town was not a successful program. Very annoying. Okay, getting back to Prudential, I might have mentioned this before too. They had a film, Child Safety is No Accident. It was an excellent film, and they loaned us to us free, a free loan, not just to us, but to anybody. But we sent it out to all of our Safety Town people so they could show it on, especially on graduation day to the parents. It was a 13-minute film. It was excellent. I wish I would have kept a copy, but all we kept was this. Okay, February 24th, 1978. We are pleased through this yearly report to bring you up to date with our activities and accomplishments. During 1977, which was a very successful year, this is what we did in 1977. Okay, we can add this in 1977, although it was set out in 78. But during 1977, here's what we did. Part of what we did. Developed and printed our exciting new booklet, Safety Towns Community Involvement. Introduced our 3 new Bill Cosby Clancy certificates. Received publicity in local, state, and national publications. Gave presentations at numerous local, state, and national meetings. Conducted 28 workshops in 13 states. Were invited to participate in several Washington, D.C. meetings, including the White House meetings. Became a member of the Better Business Bureau. Were invited and attended an International Safety Conference in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Conducted our 3rd annual Safety Town Week, 22 governors. Received a grant from Prudential along with their continuing assistance with art and printing and promotional endeavors. Were approved by Greater Cleveland Growth Association. This is necessary before soliciting funds. Sold over 5,000 t-shirts plus certificates, posters, and had over 400 safety towns in operation. Had 22 state directors, 6 assistant, 12 district, and 2 assistant. All volunteer with exception of a paid secretary. Very small, $2 an hour I think it was. Are very proud of every person affiliated with the center. Many of our directors received local and state awards for their various activities. Okay? That was February. March 13, 1978. Let's see. This was sent to Mr. Workman by Jacqueline. Recently, Mrs. Schlatt was highly honored for her 15 years of volunteer safety work. See enclosed letter. We know you are as pleased and proud as we are. I'm writing this letter to bring the above to your attention and thought you might want to recognize Mrs. Schlatt for receiving this award at the Greater Cleveland Awards Banquet on Monday, March 20th. Having attended these banquets in the past, I realize they are geared primarily for the purpose of presenting awards to corporations for safe occupational performances. However, when a very special award is presented to a very special person within an area of the safety field, recognition should be given, especially if the person's hometown and home state. Realistically, everyone in the safety field works towards the same goal, prevention of accidents. Unfortunately, I will not be in attendance, but Mr. Schlatt and a few of our people will attend. I sincerely hope you can squeeze a minute into your program to recognize the lady whom many people feel is one of the most dedicated safety people in their country, giving not only her time, but a tremendous amount of money and knowledge. Thanking you in advance for consideration, I remain. This was to Mr. Phil Workman. He was superintendent of the Division of Safety and Hygiene for the Industrial Commission of Ohio, and they always had a yearly banquet at all the safety councils in the state, and this one was at the Cleveland one, and yes, he did have us, had me recognized. It was very nice event. Okay, now I talked about the board of advisory board, and this is basically the board of trustees. We were using board of directors, and we had to change it to board of trustees because we were informed board of directors was for a corporation, and board of trustees was for nonprofit organizations. So if we talked about board of directors originally, that's what it was, but we had to change it to board of trustees. Okay, and in 1978, of course, we had meetings, and people, Marv Wagner and Bill Miller, and Dr. Brown were all our board members, along with Frank and myself. Okay, put that one there. This is March 22nd, 1978. Okay, we're going by order dates. Okay. Dorothy Schlatt, her safety town, promotes safety for preschoolers. So I've got to show you this. Okay. Nice picture. Nice type. This was in the paper, Courier Suburban paper, and this had to be somewhere in Pennsylvania, I believe. But under the picture, I don't know if you can see the picture. There I am in the car, holding my Safety Town pamphlet. And underneath it says, Dorothy Schlatt of Bedford, Ohio, visited the Suburban last week to talk about her Safety Town project, which is an early childhood education program designed to introduce all types of safety conditions to 4- and 5-year-olds. Mrs. Schlatt travels around the country telling people about the program and encouraging local civic organizations to start one. And I thought that was, this is by Linda Palmarosa. Dorothy Schlatt of Bedford, Ohio Dorothy Schlatt of Bedford, Ohio was a whirlwind last week. She passed through Wayne talking a mile a minute about safety for preschool children. Her pet project for the past 15 years is called Safety Town, and Miss